All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our NBA video here today for Monday, March 22nd. And if you end up really enjoying today's video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up by smashing that like button. And if you haven't done so already, please feel free to hit that subscribe button as well. I'd greatly appreciate it. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into some NBA action. Let's go ahead and start with the Kings versus the Cavaliers. 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time in Cleveland. The Sacramento Kings are the 4-point favorite on the road. Totals 224.5. And if you like, the Cavs in an upset on their home court here today. They're plus $1.55 on the money line. Now, we've won 2 out of our last 3 college basketball tier package picks on my Patreon website. We're also a staggering 23-4 in our last 27 extra daily pick tier package plays on that Patreon page as well. Good for 85% in that category. Now, we're fastly approaching 1,400 members currently signed up and active on that page. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. Once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And as bad as the Cavaliers have been all year long, they actually won 2 out of their last 3 ball games. And surprisingly, they find themselves playing .500 basketball on their home court. Now, Cleveland ranks in the top 5 in home defensive rebounding. They're also in the top 10 defensively in fourth quarter points allowed. Colin Sexton scoring over 24 points a game, 2 rebounds, 4 assists for the starting guard. Meanwhile, Darius Garland is scoring over 16 a night himself, along with a couple of rebounds and 5 assists as well. Love, Dellavedova, and Prince have been upgraded to questionable. Now they're taking on a Sacramento team who lost 5 out of their last 9 themselves, and they've really struggled away from home this year. Now, out of their 21 road games this season, Sacramento's gotten the W just 8 times. They're currently 8 games below .500 for the year, and they rank dead last in defending the 3 ball. They give up 120 points per contest, and they allow their opponents to make nearly 40% of their three-pointers against them. Now, total-wise, Sacramento's 26-16 to the over for the entire season. Cleveland's 4-0 to the over in their last 4 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Cleveland Cavaliers +4 and the over 224.5. All right, next matchup. We're going to take a look here at the Thunder taking on the T-Wolves, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Minnesota T-Wolves are the 2-point favorite, totals 226.5. But as depleted as OKC is, I just don't feel comfortable laying any amount of points with this Minnesota squad, regardless of location. Now, Malik Beasley's still out, Jarrett Culver's questionable. The Timberwolves have been victorious in just 5 of 19 home games, and they currently find themselves 22 games below .500. Now, Minnesota currently ranks in the bottom 3 defensively in points allowed, bottom 3 in defensive field goal percentage. The T-Wolves allow over 117 points per contest. Now, they're squaring off against an OKC squad who, like I said, they're kind of banged up themselves. Horford and Gilgeous-Alexander, they're both listed as questionable. But regardless of that, OKC, they've still won 4 out of their last 7 contests, and they've been one of the better covering road teams in the West. OKC's currently 14-8 against the number when they travel. Now, Lou Dort is averaging over a dozen points a game for the Thunder, along with 3.5 rebounds a night. Meanwhile, Mike Muscala is averaging double digits a night as well, along with 3 rebounds. So if Horford and Gilgeous-Alexander, if they don't play, look for Dort and Muscala to, pick up the pace here for OKC. Now, the Thunder's in the top 5 defensively in road points allowed, and they currently lead the NBA in defensive three-point percentage on the road. They're actually holding their opponents to just 31% shooting from beyond the arc in that category. Now, total-wise, 2 out of OKC's last 3 stayed under the number, 14-8 to the under when they travel. Meanwhile, Minnesota saw 2 out of their last 3 stay under the line themselves. Throwing out the Laker game, I'm going to lean toward the OKC Thunder +2 and the under 226.5. All right, next ball game, we're going to take a look at Charlotte versus San Antonio, 8:30 p.m. Eastern start time. The San Antonio Spurs are the 5-point favorite. Total's 224. Now, the Spurs have won 3 out of their last 4 ball games, 5-1 against the number in their last 6. San Antonio is currently 5 games above 500, and they actually rank in the top 10 defensively in points allowed. DeMar DeRozan scoring 20 points a game along with 4 rebounds, 7.5 assists. Meanwhile, DeJounte Murray is scoring over 15.5 points a night himself, 7 rebounds, 5 assists for the starting point guard. Now they're taking on a Charlotte team who may have to go to work without one of their leading scorers in Terry Rozier, currently listed as questionable for tonight's action. Meanwhile, Cody Zeller has also been ruled as out for tonight's game. Now the Charlotte Hornets are currently on a 3-game losing streak, just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6. The Hornets have won just 8 of 21 when traveling this season, and they're in the bottom 5 defensively in road points allowed. Charlotte gives up 118 points per contest, and they let their opponents make nearly 41% of their three-pointers in that same category. Now, total-wise, Charlotte's 15-6 to the over when they travel. San Antonio saw 3 out of their last 5 get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the San Antonio Spurs -5 and the over 224. All right, next contest. It is going to be Celtics Grizzlies, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Memphis Grizzlies are the 2-point favorite with a total at 221.5. And if you like the Celtics in an upset victory on the road here, they're plus $110 for some money line cash. Now, Boston's played .600 basketball in their last 10 outings. They've also won in their last 10 straight gatherings, with Memphis really dominating the Grizzlies over the past couple of seasons or so. The Celtics are in the top 5 in defensive rebounding, top 3 defensively in second quarter points allowed. Jason Tatum scoring nearly 25 points per contest for the Celtics, 6 rebounds, 4 assists for the starting forward. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown is averaging over 24.5 points a night himself, 5 boards and 3 assists for the starting guard. Now they're taking on a Memphis squad who's won just 10 of 23 at the FedEx Forum. The Grizzlies have also lost 5 out of their last 8, and they also find themselves in the bottom 5 in the NBA in home three-point shooting. The Grizzlies are also scoring just 108 points per contest. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, Memphis saw 8 out of their last 10 meetings with Boston get over the number. Boston went 12-10 to the over in their 22 road games themselves. I'm going to lean toward yet another underdog in this one. Give me the Boston Celtics +2 and the over 221.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Pacers Bucks, 9 p.m. East. The Milwaukee Bucks are the 5.5-point favorite. Total's 230 even. Now it looks like the Bucks are going to have to go to work here tonight without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Looks like the Greek Freak is battling a knee injury. I believe he's listed as doubtful. Although I think some places have confirmed him as out. So keep an eye on Giannis if you're looking to make a play in this one. And despite a red-hot run here recently, the Bucks have still failed to cover the number in their last 2 straight. Just 3-6 against the spread in their last 9. Milwaukee's in the bottom 3 in home free throw shooting. And they also allow nearly 113 points a game. They're squaring off against an Indiana squad who's coming fresh off a 2-game sweep of Miami. And they also won 3 out of their last 5, and that includes a double-digit victory over Phoenix. In addition to having a winning record here on the road here this season, the Pacers are also led by Malcolm Brogdon, who's scoring over 21.5 points a night, along with 4 rebounds and 6 assists. Meanwhile, Domantas Sabonis is scoring over 20 points a game himself, 11 rebounds, 6 assists for the 6'11 forward. The Pacers are in the top 10 in offensive field goal percentage on the road, and they're scoring almost 114 points a night when they travel. Now, total-wise, Indiana did see contests with Miami, the Lakers, and Denver stay under the posted number. They also went 70% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Milwaukee. Meanwhile, the Bucks saw contests with Philadelphia, Memphis, Denver, and the Clippers stay under the total recently themselves. I'm going to lean toward yet another underdog. Give the Indiana Pacers +5.5 and the under 230. Next contest, it is going to be Jazz Bulls, 9 o'clock Eastern start time. The Utah Jazz are laying 9 points on the road here. Numbers 228 and a hook. But despite laying nearly double digits in this spot here, I simply cannot find myself fading this Utah team much. I don't know if I faded them yet this year. I mean, they've been just so good. They're 19 games over 500 right now, and they're in the top 3 in scoring on average per contest. The Jazz are averaging 117 points per game, and they're draining 40% of their three-pointers. Donovan Mitchell scoring 25 points a game, along with 4.5 rebounds and 5 assists. Meanwhile, Jordan Clarkson's dropping nearly 18 a night off the bench, along with 3 boards and a couple assists as well. Utah's in the top 3 in the league in offensive rebounding, top 5 defensively in points allowed. Now keep an eye on Rudy Gobert. He's listed as questionable. They're taking on a Chicago team who's been victorious in only 4 out of their last 10. The Bulls, they've also really struggled at the United Center this season. Winners of just 9 of 23 at home, only 39% against the number in those home games. The Bulls are in the bottom 10 defensively in points allowed, bottom 5 in home defensive let's try that again. Bottom 5 in home defensive field goal percentage. Now, total-wise, 5 out of Chicago's last 6 stayed under the number, 70% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Utah. Meanwhile, the Jazz saw 3 out of their last 5 stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Utah Jazz -9 and the under 228.5. All right, next ball game, it is going to be Raptors Rockets, 9 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Houston. The Toronto Raptors are the 8.5-point favorite away from home. Total's 222. But as absolutely despicable as Houston's been over the past few months, we're looking at a Raptor team who's on an 8-game losing streak themselves. Toronto's won just 9 of 24 on the road this season. They currently find themselves 8 games below 500. Toronto ranks dead last in offensive rebounding, bottom 10 in defending the 3-ball. They're taking on a Houston team who ranks in the top 10 in fourth quarter points allowed at home. They also played OKC to a 1-possession game last night, so they are certainly showing some fight, as hapless as they've been. And I'll tell you this much, they literally covered the point spread back on March 12th against a very good Utah team. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Houston's last 5 did get over the line. Toronto went 70% to the over in their last 10 themselves. The Raptors were also 16-8 to the over in their road games. This is a pure fade of the Raptors. This isn't a pure backing of the Rockets. It's a fade of the Raptors. Too many points on the road playing this type of basketball. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Rockets +8.5 and the over 222. And with that, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup of the show. It is going to be Hawks-Clippers, 10 o'clock East. The LA Clippers are the 6-point favorite at home, numbers 225.5. Now, the Clippers dropped 5 out of their last 8 ball games. Beverly and Ibaka are both sitting this one out tonight as well. The Clippers are in the bottom 10 in defensive field goal percentage, bottom 10 in fourth quarter points allowed. They're taking on a red-hot Atlanta squad who won their last 8 straight and went 7-1 against the number in those 8 victories. The Hawks are in the top 10 defensively in points allowed, top 10 in defensive three-point percentage. Trae Young's averaging over 25.5 points a night, 4 rebounds, 9 assists for the starting point guard. Meanwhile, John Collins is scoring over 18 a game himself, along with 7 rebounds. Total-wise, 7 out of these teams' last 10 head-to-head meetings got over the posted number. LA's 12-8 to the over as the official home team as well. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Hawks +6 and the over 225.5. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our quick pick recap. Once again, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like the Cleveland Cavaliers +4 over 224.5. OKC +2 under 226 and a hook. San Antonio -5 over 224. Boston Celtics +2 over 221.5. Indiana Pacers +5.5 under 230. Utah Jazz -9 under 228 and a hook. Houston +8.5 over 222. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we've won 2 out of our last 3 college basketball tier package picks on my Patreon website. We're also a staggering 23-4 in our last 27 extra daily picks on that very same Patreon page. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Hawks +6 and the over 225.5. And one final reminder here, guys, all the content on my YouTube channel is for entertainment purposes only. I don't make any guarantees of any kind. And with that, we're going to dive into some YouTube shout-outs. Shout out to Jose Pablo Ordaz, Rowdy Ruckus, Karen KK, Ninja 2, Francisco Rocha, Michael Penfold, Thomas Reason, Brandon Lee, Cody the God, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my good friend, Tegan Niemeyer. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind we'll bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you get a membership here today, that membership is good through the end of March. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.